Joey Ryan, you're looking a little different today. Looking a little younger, and that hair's changing on you a little bit.
I don't know about younger, but the hair is definitely different.
Yeah, just a little bit, a little bit. We are joined with my main man, Mike Panozzo. I say main man, and I say it very seriously, unless one, Joey's watching, and two, if Dominic's watching, because they will both get in their feelings quite a bit if they hear me say that. But Mr.
Yeah,
Billiards Digest himself,
you don't want to
Mike.
ruffle Dominic's feathers.
No, no, I do enough without on a regular, and now he's getting even more sensitive as his popularity grows. So it's beautiful. But Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? Watching a lot
I'm
of
doing.
pool these days. There's a lot of pool programming out there right now.
It's kind of brutal, Mike. I mean, I'm getting up at like 6 a.m. and you're already in the thick of it, which I love. And I don't get me wrong, I really love it. But it's tough, man. I mean, it's really tough sometimes to kind of to fade, you know.
Yeah, it's early and it's just hour after hour after hour. I mean, for them it's great because it's all programming. It's all getting pool players on
Yeah,
TV and they're showing every match and every player and there's a couple things obviously we all wish were a little bit different in terms of the production of it. You'd like to have commentators on the second table. You'd like to be able to watch both tables at the same time all the time if you wanted to, things like that. But small complaints given the size of what they're doing and the quality of what we're seeing.
yeah, no doubt. And I mean, they're still evolving. And first of all, for everybody in the chat, we appreciate every one of you guys for tuning in. Let us know if you can hear us, if the audio is coming in good, and you're able to see these two mugs of ours. But yeah, 1,000%, Mike. It's an evolving process, right? Because this is barely the second year. Well, I mean, really the first year if you think about it, because they did go and rebrand it, right?
Yeah,
From the Championship League over to the
right.
Premier League. So the one thing I love about Matchroom is that they've never been one to kind of go and settle and just we're going to stay the course and do things the same way. They're going to continue to progress and push forward. But I agree with you. As much as I love the second table, would love to go and hear some guys behind there. You know, if they were able to go and swing it because and there's been some with with this level of field. You know, there's really set up some amazing matchups.
Yeah, they're all great matchups. I mean, there's nothing that you wouldn't want to, you know, be a fly on the wall to listen to what's going on, what the people are talking about. And, I saw a couple comments on there too about how, Carl's basically the only color guy.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple play-by-play guys. They got Michael and they got Phil. And there have been times where they've had Michael Bridges and Phil Yates doing a match, and they're both play-by-plays. They're not neither one of them a
Yeah,
color guy, and there's a big difference. And
for sure.
so, I'd like to see it get to the point if they get more sponsorship, if they get a little more money into it, where they could have uh, another player like a Niels would have been perfect as a second color commentator.
Niels grew on
And
me quite a bit during I think it was the Mosconi Cup. Like,
oh, he was fantastic.
yeah, just phenomenal.
He
Yeah.
was fantastic, and he's right there. So but it's a financial thing, I'm sure. You got to have someone there now for 8-10 days.
It's a
That you have
lot,
to
Mike.
pay to
It's a
be
long
there.
time.
Um,
Hotels,
and,
flights, food, you name it.
right, right. So I'm sure if they could, they'll get to the point as fast as possible where they could have multiple color guys, multiple play-by-play guys, and do both tables. I mean, that would be the ideal situation, right? But regardless, what they're doing is great, and to me, a huge improvement over last year. The setup last year with the bringing new people on every day, and some guys go
Yeah.
on and new guys go on. I didn't care for that at all. It was too it was too disjointed to me. It didn't flow to me at all. Um, and you had like guys like Albin who fought to just stay in the process day after day and finally won and ended up winning the whole thing. But this to me is a good true round robin format. I mean,
It really
legitimate
is.
good round robin format. Then you get to a
And it's
certain
deep.
point. I'm sorry.
It's deep. It's deep. Like as in the quality of the field.
Yeah, yeah. 16-player round robin is that's with all quality
It's a
players.
lot of matches, man.
That's a lot of matches. It's a
Yeah.
lot of good action. Even races to five. And you saw with the standings after these first 5 days. how a game here, a game there makes a difference with whether you're still playing or you're going home.
I mean, everything swings so much in these things. We saw Filler and Albin kind of separate themselves from the rest of the field, whereas today it's kind of, I don't want to say evened out, because I know Josh has, I think, something like a 7-game lead versus number 10 in Omar. But the discrepancy between 5 and 6, who are guys who are fighting, is really only 4 games, and that puts them right there in there, because at the end of the day, I think all these guys are fighting to go and make it after day 7 to be in the Final Four.
Yeah, obviously that's where you want to be.
Yeah, but it's been kind of interesting compared to last year on a number of fronts. And you're right, because the format has changed. I don't know if I love it more. There was a lot of talk as far as who has the advantage coming in later last year, coming in sooner. I mean, obviously, you can go and argue that the more time you have, the better, because, of course, the guy who played the most matches in Albin Ocean ended up winning the whole thing, right? But I like everybody being in there and just throwing them in the water,
Right.
And some of these guys, it looks like they're a little bit uncomfortable. Yap and Kazakis and Kachi have, kind of been in there on our sleep, if they even got any sleep coming over from Wisconsin. And you kind of saw that a little bit in their performance. I mean, Kachi never, and we'll talk about him more, but never really got going. Yap had a phenomenal year. We never really saw him get any kind of traction. And Alex, to his credit, it seemed like he's been able to persevere. And even Josh up top, man, like, he may have 13 wins, but he's stolen a few, like on Hill, where, I mean, like, it hadn't been a cakewalk where he's just dominating everybody.
Yeah, no, the Lechner match, obviously. I mean, he was 2 balls away from another loss, but
How sick is Max, though, man? I mean, like, this is your first time really being on the Matchroom stage. He's always gonna be the redheaded stepchild because of Mario, and my heart just aches for him, man, because I really wanted him to go and have a breakout event, Mike.
yeah, it would have been nice to see him fare a little bit better. But he's a good player, and everybody has their bad events. I mean, everybody's talking about Oliver and Yap, and
Yeah.
all those guys got beat down pretty good.
Right.
So that's just the way this format is. Someone's got to be in the bottom 6.
It's true.
There were a lot of really good matches, a lot of tight matches. The difference between Omar being in and Yap being in was 2 games.
Yeah.
So it's pretty tight. And again, the field's a great field. So
And that's out of 15 matches, Mike.
Yeah.
15 matches played. It's a lot of pool.
It's a lot of pool, and separated by 2 games. That's got to be a crusher for Yap.
Yeah. And it looks like it's stretched out over 12 hours roughly from start to finish, because you're starting at basically 4 a.m. Central, and you're finishing on average about 4 p.m. Central time as well. So, I mean,
it's a long day.
Like, it's hard to go and balance between, I'm gonna go eat and exercise and have a day, and then by the way, you got a match around this time, because you never really know, right? A race to 5 can either be 15 minutes or it can be, an hour and a half. Well, I don't know about an hour and a half, but it can be longer, So it's a range.
Yeah, it's a range. So yeah, I mean, they're they've played a lot of pool right now, and none of them have won a dime. So
no, I think they're guaranteed, I think, 2,500. So the guys who are going to be going home, they're at least getting some money in their pocket.
Right.
So that helps out, and I like the fact that they're doing something, they're getting something. Real quick, guys, we appreciate everyone commenting in the chat. First of all, Jim Telfer, they can't afford the insurance policy, associated with bringing you on for the commentary, my man. So I hate to go and burst your bubble.
Free is still overpaying at that point.
Those are Mike's words, Jim. Those are Mike's words. Which Mike? I don't know. No, but it's been great to go and wake up to. I love having a week full of pool. I love having great talent. A lot of these guys, like Max, for example, even though he kind of got buried really in the first 2 days, he never really seemed to kind of give up, Mike. Like, you're going to have frustrations, of course, but there's a difference between getting frustrated and emotional versus still being able to go and compete and show your heart and your level of professionalism.
Yeah, I mean, really, also, no matter what day they were in, none of these guys, even a Max, or until the last day or so, technically, they come out, the pool player's mindset. They say, listen, tomorrow I can go out there, I could go 4-0.
Right.
and all of a sudden I'm in the thick of things. So that's the way round robins run, and I love
And it's race to 5. Like it's,
right.
I mean, it's tough action. I mean, literally, Kelly, I think would have been the underdog in most people's eyes, but she was going and doing some quote unquote upsets, and it's gambling with these people.
Yeah, she was in there. She had a really good shot at getting in there. I saw her. She just made too many mistakes.
Right.
She missed a lot of shots that she wouldn't normally miss. And the frustrating thing for these players about this type of event is you look at the standings, you look at the number of wins and the win-loss ratio differences, and you realize you were really only a couple games away from everything being completely different. So it's got to be a frustrating format for the players when you go through 15 matches like that, and realize how close you probably came to making that top.
Well, I mean, we know how it is as players, man. When you go, you can remember mistakes. They eat at you, and if you talk to any player, you can bring up a world championship or whatever major tournament, and guys are going to go remember. Oh, it was at this was the race, and this is where I was at. It was the 5 ball here. I overcut it, or it skidded on me, and I mean, like they remember. It bothers them. It'll go and cause them to lose some sleep.
40 years later, they'll remember it. 40 years
Yeah,
later, they'll tell you
yeah.
the exact ball and what rail it hit and everything. The pool players, they do remember that stuff for sure.
Well, we got 6 players that are out. Mike, Yap, Solnaki, Oi had a great 21. Really surprising there. Kelly, Lechner, Kachi. Kachi was one of the ones that was really surprising, Mike, and it's not because he never really got going. I want to ask you a little bit just about professionalism, Mike, and the term being a professional. Pool obviously has this kind of like stigma, and it seems like Matchroom's trying to change it. These guys are coming out here, they're presented well, they got their sponsorship patches on. And then you have someone who oversleeps a match. Not a match, but a game. You show up late to your, what time you were supposed to go and start at, Mike. What kind of taste does that leave in your mouth as someone who's written about the sport over the last 40 plus years?
Yeah, no, it's all about professionalism. It's you consider yourself an athlete? Do Kachi's got a reputation, even from Moscone Cup days of
It does.
missing meetings, sleeping in this, coming in late, not checking in, that type of thing. And that's, he's his own man. So, if there's consequences, he'll take them and move on. You'd like to think that he would be a little more responsible and take ownership a little more of how he's supposed to act. But listen, in the end, we've seen how stars can fade away really fast on the Matchroom wish list when you don't play the game right. So he could be hurting himself in the long run. He might not get the invitation that he thought he'd always get, and who knows? So it's a shame to see that you talk about professional. They're going on the air to start a match, and the guy's not there. I mean, that's just it'd be tough to imagine. Rafael Nadal, strolling into.
Not Rafa. No, don't say Rafa because I'm a big Nadal fan.
Rafa
wouldn't.
It's center
Rafa
court,
wouldn't do
half
it.
an hour late, yawning. It's like you just don't see it.
Yeah.
So
No, it was very surprising to me, Mike. And you're right. There's a reputation there. There's a history there. It doesn't like for the direction I think the sport's going rather, and growing. It didn't look good, and that's putting it mildly. As far as my opinion on it, I think there's 100 people that would rather be in that spot and make sure they're there half an hour early, an hour early, whatever it may be, in a heartbeat. They would go and book a flight to go and get over there and fill in that spot. And you're right. Some superstars, that's just the reality of life, right? Not everyone's treated the same. And I get it. I don't think Kachi's in that class though, Mike. I don't think he plays that. I don't get me wrong. I think he's a great player, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but I'm just saying like he's not playing like he's not coming off of like a Federer Derby City, and Federer would never do that ever. His work ethic and professionalism. You're never gonna go and hear that about the kid.
Yeah,
But
you're starting to sound like Earl now. I mean, yeah, Kachi, you're a good player, but you're not great.
well, I mean, it's like I know you're wrong. He's a world champion, and
Yeah.
I was there whenever he won the world 10 ball last year. It was a phenomenal accomplishment. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I mean, you can't be doing shit like this, Mike. You just can't.
And here's the thing. I mean, you talk about pool trending in the right way, and we all have a little more excitement, a little more
Right.
optimism with the way things are going now, and uh, and it's at the point now where it will be a stay in line or we'll leave you behind, that type of thing
I
for
think
these
it's going to
players.
get there,
There were a lot
and
of
I
years. There were a lot of years where players could do whatever they wanted, and they were still going to get picked and still going to be wanted to play because there
think
wasn't
it.
as much at stake. Now there's a lot at stake, and everybody's killing themselves to get into these events. So if you're not going to play ball, you're going to get left behind. So that's the responsibility he's got to take.
It reminds me of like a few years back when they were doing the boot camps, Mike, for the Mosconi Cup, and I'm sure you remember this, where they wanted all the American players to kind of travel around to a few different places and do these boot camps, and uh, there was a time where Shane was like, "I don't really want to do the boot camps," and there was talk about him not being on the team. Specifically said Shane's not going to be on the team. He doesn't want to do these boot camps, doesn't want to play ball, and I think they ended up after some backlash, they made amends and, you know, they said the right things. Shane said the right things. But even Shane realized like he's not a bigger than the sport, and he's able to go and put the sport and the players as a collective before maybe his own, personal stances on things. Um, and like Jim said in the chat, I think the kid's got some growing up to do. I think it shows it. Um, and I just for it's not an open event, right? You're not you didn't just come off like a 12-hour day the day before and you played it till 4 in the morning and then you're actually going to go and come back at 9 a.m. Right? Um, you got to be professional. You got to be on time. You got to go and show up, man. I mean, just make sure you're there because that does not look good. And there's so many people that would just give up an arm and leg and everything else to go and just get a shot to be out there. But then to kind of be out there and half-ass it and then show up late and with the history,
Yeah.
all that collectively, it's just
Well, you
I don't
just
know,
hope that
Mike.
you hope that there's some kind of repercussion and
Well, let me ask you, because who would be? I mean, like, there's no quote unquote governing body. I mean, I guess you have the WPA, right? But they don't really do a whole lot. They'll dope test you, whatever else, right? But like when it comes to character issues or however it is you want to go and box this in, who's going to go and hold these guys accountable for situations like this, Mike?
well, I think at this point it's just a promoter. So if there was a professional association where all these guys were members of, then they would have their own rules and regulations, right? I think at this point it's really um, a matter of these are promoter issues. So you say, you tell someone to start, listen, you guys show up late for a match, you lose the match, or you get fined $300 or whatever, and
Hit them where
it's
it hurts at, Mike. I like it. Hit them where it hurts. Hit them in their pockets.
hit them in the pocket, or you hold the next event over their head. You say the next event we have, you're out. So you make it so that they feel it a little bit, and
Right.
he's a young guy who's got a lot of talent and a lot of confidence, and maybe it bothers him or maybe it doesn't. But you just have to have some kind of repercussion and just see whether it affects how he goes about things in the future. And he's still a young kid, let's
He
face it.
is. He is. And I'm not saying, let's just don't invite him to the World Masters or anything like that, right? Because he earned his right to go and be in that top. I forgot exactly where he's ranked at, but in that top spot in order to get an automatic bid for event like the Masters. Of course, he'll be at the World Cup of Pool. But I would like to see some accountability. I would like to see some ownership. You got to be humble when you go and make mistakes, Mike. And you kind of have to eat crow a little bit and just say I messed up and it won't happen again. And you got it. Also, it's disrespectful to the guy you're playing against because
Yeah, absolutely.
they traveled across the world too to go and compete in this event. And you're wasting their time. You're wasting people who are sitting around waiting for you, fans at home who are there rooting for you, waiting for you to come on.
Yeah,
It's you got to go and have some standards.
yeah, you
Um,
do.
but hopefully he goes and learns from it. In the meantime, Mike, we got 10 guys who made it through, and at the top of
Yep.
that list, we got Josh Filler, which, I mean, is it a surprise, Mike? Is it really a surprise at this point the way the kid's playing?
No, I mean he can go to any tournament and dominate. And for the first 3 days, 4 days, Albin looked like that guy. Albin looked
He
like he
did.
picked up right where he left off, and he wasn't going to lose.
Completely different than last year, Mike, because he was kind of like that yap, who just was. I may look like a world champion 1 minute, and then I may look like I can't run, 6 balls in the next minute.
Yeah,
You know,
he was on a good roll for a while, and then he lost 4 in a row, right? Didn't he? His last 4 matches. So, um, you know, the thing that if you're an American fan, the thing I really loved about today was the two guys, Shane and Sky. They showed up today.
Shane especially.
Shane
I mean,
wasn't
both of them
really
did.
in jeopardy too bad of not making the top 10. Sky was on the hook a little bit. He was on the.
He was.
He was on the
Sky was
a little bit,
yeah.
and Sky jumped in and went 4-0, and Shane I think went 3-0. So they showed up and they played great pool. I mean, Shane put a good whooping on Jason and on Albin, which is really good for him, and Sky played really well too. So that was really encouraging to see. They played really strong on the last day, which is what you like to see. I'd rather have that last day than Albin's, obviously, where you're still number 3, but you lost 4 in a row.
Events like this have like psychological advantages to them down the road because eventually those 2 guys who beat Album today, we'll see you in December, buddy. And either one of them are gonna be too nervous about facing them in a race to 5 after going and dominating the way that they did right now.
Guarantee that was the Sky that Album remembered from a couple of years ago. So
how big of a match was that, Mike? The guy jumps the ball at like Hill, where I think Tyler Steyer's the MVP, and Sky just gives it to him, gives him the business, Mike.
Yeah, that was so, and he played that well today too. So it was great to see that. I was glad to see Alex Kazakis do well because he was one of those guys who had that, had to be beat up after coming from the U.S. and
really did. He had every excuse in the world, Mike, to go and fall short. Every excuse in the world, but Alex, to his credit, he's kind of been forgotten because he's the, let's say, second or third guy off of Team Europe, maybe the first guy off of Team Europe. But people forget last year he won the World Pool Masters.
Yeah.
He's had successes already this year.
Yeah, no, he's just a solid player.
His mental game's different, Mike. He looks better. He doesn't look like. Don't get me wrong. Like he can still miss balls like anybody else, but he doesn't look like he's got that dog anymore in him.
Yeah, he looked good. He battled.
Yeah, there's been so many moving today. Shane obviously is the one that sticks out for me. He was, like you said, kind of in that belly of the top 10, kind of just hanging around in there. And then today he just he made himself real comfortable there in the top 3. And like I made a post earlier, it's not about how you go and start the event, but it's how you finish. And momentum is going to be so crucial right now for these guys in the top 10. You're looking at to go and get in the top 4 in the next 2 days. So Sky, for example, I think he's got 9 wins. The guy at number 4 and Jason only has 10, Mike. So you're really only 1 game back from 7 to 4. So you want to talk about swings and the way that these matches can go and roll out. It can really go any way. And these people are going to start, besides 1 and 2, I don't think any of them can be even a little comfortable. And even number 2 can't be so comfortable in Shane.
Yeah, no, I mean, Josh is in a pretty good spot. But yeah, everybody else, there's a lot of difference. I mean, difference between 7th place and 2nd place is 2 wins. So, it's a fun format. These guys, it just shows it. Every match is huge. Every game you play is huge. And I like when you can't sleep on anything. You can't sleep on any match or on any game.
It's races to 5 and 9 ball, right? Alternate breaks, so you're not gonna be hit with 4s and 5s, right? The guy at the tail end of it, you got Omar, who, well, by the way, he was in the finals of a world championship this past year. You got Fortunsky, who can knock on any European tour semifinal. Ruiz, who's coming off of Derby City. if you don't think Sky Woodward can play 9-ball, you're sleeping under a rock because he won Derby City a couple of years ago. Kazak is playing as well as anyone. Another world pool master in David. I mean, like, it's so deep, Mike. It's so gross, man. I mean, just any one of these guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they go and let's say win 3 in a row to start off and start sitting pretty after tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. The whole race is get to that Final Four, and so it's going to be a dogfight with these guys, and it's great because every match is just, they're going to live and die by every match they play. So this is good stuff from here down.
All right, Mike. So if you're going in wagering, and I know, you can be a little nitty sometimes. So I know you're not going to be betting a whole bunch, but if you were going to go and wager, okay, who would you go and put your money on? And I swear, if you say Josh Filler, Mike, I'm going to have to go and take you off the show.
No, I don't. I wouldn't take the top guy from here. Absolutely not.
And why? Why is that? Because I'm one of the believers that'll go and say it's about how you finish. It's about who's got momentum right now. The guys who are starting to get that engine revving a little bit. And for me, a guy like Albin, even though he's at the top there, it's kind of falling a little bit.
Yeah, but yesterday you'd have picked before yesterday started, you'd have probably picked Albin. So, it can change in a hurry, and that's why I don't see. It's hard to imagine Josh going on any 4 or 5 game losing streaks, but but once it gets to that Final Four, then it's up for grabs. So, I think that I don't know.
Come on. We're putting you on the spot. And if I know Mike Panozzo, like I think I know Mike Panozzo, he's going to be picking an American because Mike is Team USA all the way, baby.
That's not true. I've never been. I like the home team, but I don't think I've really been considered a homer. I've been accused by some American players of being too nice to the Europeans.
Is that right?
But no, I think I would. I just like Shane in this format.
His break's been pretty
even
solid.
Even though it's race to 5, playing a lot of matches and playing these guys, one guy after the next. I just like the way he approaches the game, and if I had to bet my $5, that's who it would probably be on.
Well, 5 is probably all you'd be firing. And I'm not surprised you'd be picking Shane because probably I don't know this to be fact, but I'd imagine going into the event he was probably. Let me look at this field. Probably top 3 favorite, at least, along with maybe top 4 with Jason, Albin, and Filler, the other guys who are literally there at the top.
The top 4 right now are your top 4 if you want to bet.
They really are, right? I never really noticed that until right now. Yeah. I guess, there's a few guys who I think can go and intimidate people, right? And we have that like it factor. Josh is one of them. Shane is one of them. Yep. Jason's definitely one of them. Yeah. And of course, and it's not just from a execution standpoint, but it's from personality. Obviously, Albin, and all of his successes, you can't go and give him an inch. And the one thing about Albin is that he comes clutch when he needs to, and he's shown that time after time after time. You really cannot count the guy out. There's so many guys to go and choose from, Mike. I'm gonna kind of take a little bit of a flyer, if you want to call him a flyer, in Kazakis. I'm riding that hot hand. Momentum's a really big thing in pool, and he's shown that he can kind of ride the waves of taking beats and having successes. And I think he's playing very well. And any one of these guys, like I wouldn't want to see them, but Alex would be one of them. If I had to guess another one, I would say maybe a Sky, just because Sky's really dangerous. He's got so many tools. He plays fearless. I don't care what the score is. Like, you can look at Sky when he's 4-1 or up or 4-1 down, and he's going to look the exact same way. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter, and his free spirit, and his, like, just, he doesn't show like he holds pressure on himself, and I like that when it comes to guy, especially playing short races. Those would be my 2.
From that standpoint, if you wanted to reach out of the top 4, I would probably take David.
You think so?
He's done well in these formats in the past, between World Pool Masters, things like, he's always, and people kind of sleep on him a little bit. And the next thing he's in the semifinal. So he's always dangerous. He's a really steady, doesn't get overly worked up. doesn't get overly wound up. So he's a guy that I wouldn't sleep on too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough to go and choose, and I think first of all these 10 guys should be proud, right? Because they've kind of played a lot of pool, and it's not over yet. But to at least make it past that first one, I'm sure it's a bit of a relief for them. But you're right. I mean, you can make an you can really make an argument for any one of these guys from a number of different standpoints. And David, it's like every world masters he's ever won, it's kind of like he's a dog, he's a dog, he's a dog in the matches, right? Like I'm facing Shane, I'm facing Niels, I'm facing so and so, and then he wins, and before you know it, it's the finals, and he's there, and he's always there, and he's always hanging around. uh Ruiz is kind of one of those guys. I would like to see him kind of break through. I know we won Derby City, but this is a little bit different, being on a matchroom stage and having that individual spotlight shown on him. I love the 4-inch pockets. I think it makes all these guys go and work, and I can't go and shout that loud enough from the rooftops, Mike.
Yeah.
It makes 9-ball pool just that much better. What I'm excited about is that we still got 3 more days worth of action, Mike. 6, 7, and 8. After 2 days, we're going to be going down from 6. No, I'm sorry, down from 10 down to 6, and then on the last day we'll lose 2 more. So.
Right.
Who's going to be in that final 4 come day number 8, Mike? Putting you on the spot.
All right. Well, I'm not going to. I think Josh will find his way into the final 4. Whether he's number 1 or number 4, I don't know, but he'd be a tough one to leave out at this point. And I like Shane, and then I would pick David.
At least you're not going all chalk, Mike. So I got to give you credit for that. You're at least going outside the.
I could see Alvin and Jason not making the final 4. I don't see Josh or Shane not making the final 4. So
Jason's got a lot of momentum. We haven't even mentioned him. He's got a lot of momentum.
I'll go with David as a third guy in the final 4, and Alex.
Kazakis, I like it. Yeah, I'm not gonna get too far away from there. You kind of stole my thunder there with my Alex picks. I thought I was kind of going out on a limb.
Yeah, I told Alex just because I know you wanted to go there.
So. I know, man. I was waiting to throw that haymaker back at you again, but
no, I'm with you. At this point.
You can't. You just can't go and leave out Josh. And I'm not going to either. I think he's got enough of a cushion where I think even his B game will go and sustain him to get through until the final day.
Great.
So. Oh man, check this out. I try to look at that. He must have heard me going and talking about everybody, or talking about you being my number 1 guy, because we're joined by my number 2 guy today. You can't hear us?
It's so quiet. Hold on.
All right, we'll put you backstage.
Can't believe it. The first time, if you can hear me, it's the first time I played pool since I got my new house in a month. And here you're like, let's go live now. Let's do it. Come on. Anyway, I can't hear you guys, moves. So thanks for doing this. I was listening to it. It sounded great. Molina, you're my main dog. Mike Panozzo, thank you for jumping in. I'll see you guys.
Later, brother. Later. Well, that was a nice little cameo by my man Joey Ryan. Yeah, no, I hit him up and I said, man, let's go live. And he sent me a picture of him at the pool table. And I said, you're kidding me, right? He says, I haven't been able to hit balls in weeks, like every pool player says. But anyway, yeah, I'm not going to, like I said, Josh's B game is going to be good enough for me to go and get him through the final 4 in my mind. I think about guys who go and execute at a high level, guys who have been there before, and I'm going to have to stick with Jason. I'm sorry, with Shane, excuse me. That break is vicious when it's on point, and that one on the spot break he has down. He's not soft breaking, which I love. He muscles it, and then just whatever you're going to give him, you're going to go and give him. But his control of the cue ball is pretty great. Granted, he doesn't get kicked. Besides that, I'm with you, Mike. I don't think Jason gets there. Surprisingly, he's stumbled in his last match to let Fortunski kind of get in there. Maybe he'll come out a little more crisp, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did. But for right now, I don't see it. Albin, kind of the same way, man. Like you started off great, and we'll see. But I'm gonna go with Kazakis, and I'm gonna follow up and put my money where my mouth is in Sky. I think the kid can go and beat anyone in a race to 5 and 9 ball. And I really think that as the pressure goes and increases, Mike, as the prize money increases, you're going to start seeing some of these guys who are champions go and show a little bit more of their dog that they got in them. And I don't think Sky's got that much dog in him. So, yeah, no,
it looks like we poked the bear because, you know, Jason's listening and he just popped in there. Don't bet against.
Oh, did he? Jason said. Supposed to be asleep.
I wonder whether he was in there.
He let Panozzo in. Listen, bring him on. Let's send him the link. We'll bring him on. No, I mean it's tough after all these days, right? But it's like
you know, we just have to pick people, right? So, you know, you don't want to go chalk all the time, and I would never bet against Jason, but you know, if you ask me to say, okay, who's my picks for the 4, those were the picks. So if Jason wins it, no, it's no upset. If Albin
for sure
goes in there and wins it, it's no upset. But you know, we just have to.
Nobody wants to just say we're picking favorites going into this thing, Jason. We got to let somebody out and go out on a wire just a little bit here. You know,
this is the guy who picked 2 Americans in the final 4.
Hey, listen, Mike, we're on the American time zone here, my man. We got.
yeah. Why isn't Jason in bed? That's what I want.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what I want to know. No, I mean, listen. And Jason's saying it right. You know, we can all beat each other in the race to 5. All these guys play no doubt. I don't think anyone's gonna have like. Yeah, I mean, he really can. He's kind of got to get over the hump there too. You know, as far as coming and winning a major, Mike. You know, he's one of those guys that he's been always around in the last couple of days, but he never really gets there when it's time to go and get there. You know, a lot of these guys they got that killer instinct. You know. And they can go and close. Jason is a guy who can go and close. Shane's a guy who on a matchroom stage, he's kind of been hit or miss, right? Albin for sure can go and close. Josh, I mean, you can't give the kid an inch. You really can't. I've seen highlight reels, you know, throughout this event from a number of different players, but a lot from him, you know. And he's kind of gotten away with things a lot too, because I think he should have had a few more matches that he should have lost where he didn't. But as the pressure increases, I think about guys who can kind of like process it, go and just deliver whenever it's time, you know? So either way, I'm looking forward to it, Mike. I'm glad we didn't just go pick favorites. Even Jason, dinner's on me when I see it in Vegas, my man. Okay, when I see him in Vegas.
Here's the thing: you talk about the favorites and the guys who've been there and the guys who can withstand the pressure, and this is one of those things that you know, where you see that coming to the forefront even more because it's that round robin format. It's that you get done with this guy, you got to turn around right now and play this guy.
Right? Yeah, you can't go. You can't go and like.
Yeah,
I got through it.
There's no sigh of relief. It's just one after the next, and especially with the games and the matches and the wins being so close. But hold on,
Mike. So who are those guys that kind of like they instill that fear in the other guy? Because there's alphas. And then there's guys who are great also. Like Josh is one of those guys. Shane has the it factor. Jason has the it factor.
Shane and Jason for sure are the ones who, you know, if you know that you just got done with this match, now you got Josh.
You got an edge because you got, you know, who the guy is sitting over there. You know,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And so just from that standpoint, you know, it's going to be great. I love that we can have these debates and, you know, kind of like pick things apart like this because it makes 9-ball fun. It makes the game fun. I'm looking forward to
players listen in.
yeah, for sure. I want to get Jason tilted enough to where I send him the link and then he comes on here and just goes on and on, you know? But no, he's one of these guys where, I mean, listen, you light a fire under his ass and he'll show you what he's made of, you know? We saw it with the world record. We saw for the last, you know, let's say 30 days, more or less, you know, starting from Turning Stone. All these guys are winners. They all know how to deliver. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Mike, I appreciate you jumping in. I know it was kind of last minute. This is always going to be a lot of fun. We'll try to do another one, hopefully maybe after leading into the finals. So Mike, if you're free, you know, we'll reach out to you. And maybe if Joey is, you know, stops being a diva, you know, we can go and bring him on too, you know.
Well, if I pick the Final Four right, you know, I'll be on the show.
Oh God, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. I'm never gonna say. So we'll bet a lunch. I already owe enough dinners. We'll bet a lunch on each person's Final Four, Mike. All right,
I won't have to eat the whole time out in Vegas.
We're gonna. Hey, listen, you need some meat on your bones, buddy. That's what we're trying to do to you. Panozzo, Billiards
I won't have
Digest.
to pay for a meal the whole time I'm in Vegas. I know that.
You're gonna put me out there like that, huh? That's what we're doing right now. I make one bad call, all of a sudden he's airing me out. Listen, guys, we appreciate you joining us. It's been 40 minutes of fun. Billiards Digest, go subscribe to it. Mike Panozzo, thanks a bunch, my man.
Anytime. Thank you.